Hello my friends and welcome to my long-awaited how to snipe video on Modern Warfare. Now the game has been out just over 3 weeks, but I finally feel like I'm in a confident position to sit here in front of you all and give advice, tips and tricks, and just share my knowledge of my experience on Modern Warfare as a sniper. So hopefully this video right here will help you in the slightest. Even if it's one tip and one trick that you didn't know before, I've achieved at helping you become a better sniper in Modern Warfare, and that's the end goal. Okay, so as always, if you really do appreciate the time and effort that I put into this video, the grind that comes with this video, show some love by dropping a like on the video right now. Everybody click a like, just share this video around. I would really appreciate it if you get this out there, and as well subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed right now, I'm telling you, you're missing out on some great Modern Warfare content. With that being said, let's do a little intro and a little background on how Modern Warfare sniping is, and then we'll talk about the tips and the tricks and the settings and all the advice that I've got and gathered over the past few weeks of playing the game. First things first, weapon customization is key in Modern Warfare. I can't just unlock a new weapon, put it on your creator class, and expect to do the damage that you would expect to do with that weapon, if that makes any sense. You need to grind through the weapon levels, unlock certain attachments, and those attachments will be added based on your playstyle. Speaking of customization, there's actually going to be quite a bit you're going to have to do in the settings of the game to tailor to your playstyle. While we're talking about snipers, I will mention that off-centered centering is now back in Call of Duty. If you look at your character's gun in the corner, he's constantly swaying, which means every time you scope in with a sniper rifle, it is slightly off-center. You know, you would expect it to be bang in the middle of your screen every single time. This isn't really a problem at close range. The target is already big enough, but it's those long range snapshots. Because the target is smaller, it's allowing for this off-centered centering to work in your favor, but also work against you. Lastly, to end this introduction bit here, I just want to let you know that this game plays differently than any other Call of Duty we've had. You know, you can't run and gun like a psycho anymore. You've got to play a lot more cautious because of the enemies you're coming up against. So I'm sure you're all aware by now, but if you didn't know, each sniper rifle in this game, each marksman rifle that you're going to be using will have their own specific ADS speed or fire rate, reload time, or damage output. Like every specific sniper that you use is going to be better in certain situations and worse in others. When you're running around on this game now and you're picking up weapons off the floor, that setup is going to be probably completely different to what you have your sniper setup in your creator class. So that gun is probably going to scope in slower. It might hit harder at range. You might have to not lead as much. You might have to lead more. It's going to be one of those things that you need to adjust to instantly. You've got those high damage, slower fire rates, slower ADS time snipers, and then you've got those faster fire rates, you know, those faster reload times, those lower damaged marksman rifles, and you need to be able to adjust to each of those and realize which sniper and which weapon is better in which situation. So we'll head over to general first. 3 things I've changed are film grain down to 0, then we have world motion blur and weapon motion blur disabled. So when you have that immense amount of blur right there, it's very hard to scope someone out. So it's all about visibility, so I'd recommend turning those off. The button layout preset I use is tactical flipped. L1 and R1, the bumpers at the top are there to aim and shoot, and then the triggers at the back are there to throw grenades. I like having my fingers resting on the bumpers rather than the triggers. I use the tactical preset, which means R3 is set to crouch and slide, stuff like that, and then the circle button set to melee. But the reason I set that is because I actually have my own Scuff controller. By the way, shameless plug, this is actually my design. It's an absolute beauty. You can check one of those out in the description below if you're looking for a new controller. The reason I use the Scuff controller is because of the paddles on the back. You're using these unused fingers, so we've got the left paddle set to jump, the outer right paddle is melee, and the inner one is square. And the reason I have those is to always keep my thumb on the analog stick. So rather than taking it off to jump, taking it off to melee, I'm always keeping my thumb on the analog stick, so I'm always ready to aim. If you don't want a new controller and you still want to have that feature of having your thumb on the analog stick, you can use bumper jumper and stick and move. To jump and mantle, you actually use the R3. So you're always keeping that thumb on the aim and stick. Horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity are both 11. Because of that, I use the ADS sensitivity multiplier on the low zoom as 1. The high zoom, I actually put this all the way up to 1.45. And that's just because I feel a lot snappier when I'm aiming down the sides with the sniper scope. Because there's that slight aim assist and I've been used to no aim assist, I like being able to drag across and counter that aim assist slowdown. So in regards to the aim response curve type, I'm going to be honest, I don't know everything about this. From what I've learned, it's basically the motion your aim takes when it goes from 0 speed to whatever speed you've designated it as. So when you move your analog stick, if you have it on standard, slower progression to reach that designated speed, which will be perfect when you're aiming on your sights with a regular weapon. You can fine tune your shot a little bit more. It's less sensitive. I'd recommend linear when you're sniping. Basically, when you move your analog stick, it instantly feels like the speed that you have set it at. I feel a lot more comfortable. Everything feels like it should, and there's no slowdown anywhere if I move my analog stick and I want to snap to the right, snap to the left. And then with dynamic, I'm pretty sure it's similar to standard, so a little bit more fine-tuning can go on there. Honestly, I don't know too much about it. I've tried linear, and I think that's the best for sniping, but try them out, see what feels good for you. So with the aim assist, you can obviously disable it, but I keep it on standard. I would recommend that the most because there's already a lot of aim assist on the weapons themselves anyway, but the sniper rifles, of course, have a little bit less than any other weapon in the game. So if you're struggling a lot, you can set this to precision. It's such a lock-on, it's such a slowdown, but it's got to affect every other portion of your game. I'd honestly recommend getting better with standard and keeping it on that. Focusing, honestly, is the strongest thing I've ever seen. Keep it on standard, you'll feel good, you'll feel fluent, and it won't slow things down too much. Pretty sure the rest of these are just default. If they're not, try them out. But honestly, the best things I can recommend are getting these controls set down. The sensitivity is key. You need to have it fast enough so you can turn on people, be quick, but you also want it slow enough so you can be controlled. So I'd honestly recommend starting off slow and then working your way through the ranks. So I guess now we'll talk about sniping as a whole. There's a lot of different shot types I want to cover, a lot of different techniques I want to cover, and I recommend using all of these in different streaks and different situations to make things as fluid as possible. So quick scoping, I'm sure most people know what it is by now, but if you don't, it's going to be the main shot you'll be using. It's basically where you scoping in, and as you scope in, as your scope hits the screen, that's when you shoot. It's all about that fast-paced gameplay there. I usually base that around centering, a tip that I'll talk about here in a second. Of course, we've also got no scoping, where you're just getting that quick reaction shot off. You're not scoping in at all, you're just using the hip fire. Then we've got hard scoping, which honestly I wouldn't recommend too much on this game. There's a lot of certain situations like ground war where you need to hard scope a little more, but it's basically where you're staying down your scopes for a longer period of time, making sure you line the enemy up. The reason, like I said, I don't recommend it too much is you're scoping down your sights with a regular sniper scope. You have this massive glare on your character, which everybody in the lobby will see if you're in their peripheral vision. And then lastly, we have drag scoping, which kind of makes its return to Call of Duty, to be fair. I mean, I didn't recommend it too much back on Black Ops 4 because there was no aim assist slowdown on the snipers, so every time you dragged over someone, there was nothing there helping you to be more precise. But because that has returned, I recommend drag scoping a lot. It's basically not getting them in the center of your screen. You're aiming to the left, to the right, so once your scope hits the screen, you can pull that shot to the left, pull that shot to the right, and I use it so much when someone's holding an angle on me. So one of the perks of this game is once you aim down your scope with a sniper rifle, you can strafe left to right, and as you click shoot, that bullet will always go directly to the middle of your screen. In previous games, that bullet didn't always necessarily go directly where you were aiming. So in this game, you got to make the most of that. Creep around the edge, and as you strafe in, you click shoot, that bullet is going directly where you are aiming. But with general gameplay, I wouldn't recommend moving while shooting. It's just one of those things that looks unpleasant. It's incredible to see when you see someone moving, stopping, shooting, moving, stopping, shooting. Like, that's the playstyle that you should kind of adapt to. And once you get that fluidity down, so let's talk about centering. Still a pretty viable option and a viable skill to have in this game. And honestly, they've made it pretty easy. You have a tiny white dot in the middle of your crosshairs, which is the middle of your screen. Okay, that's the point that you need to be focused on. That's what you want to be working on focusing on, and getting that perfect sensitivity so you can have control and know how long it'll take you and how much effort it'll take you to turn your analog stick to this point, to point A, to point B, to point C. That's what you need to master, because as soon as you get that down and you have that centered point on lock, everything is so much easier, I'm telling you. Okay, so if you see a window that you might think, oh, I bet there's a guy coming there, you get that centered ready. So once you scope in, you don't have to do any work in your sniper scope. You're not a sitting duck. You've done all the work out of it, and you can still see what's going on around the map. Obviously, it's going to be different if there's a guy running across the street and you think, okay, if I center this guy now, by the time I've scoped in, he's going to be a meter, 2 meters in front of me. So that kind of brings me on to leading your shot, leading your scope. So if a guy's running across the street, you want to get ahead of them rather than be chasing them, especially if you're on a lower sensitivity. As soon as you scope in, it's hard to chase someone, I'm telling you, with a sniper rifle. So you want to be ahead of them. You want to get the centered point ahead of them and figure out the time it takes for you to scope in. So when the scope hits the screen, you can shoot that shot. There's a lot of different things you need to take into consideration when sniping on this game. On the smaller maps, on the free-for-all, the 6v6s, you don't have to worry about anything. It's just Call of Duty as we know it. But the bigger maps, you've got to worry about bullet travel time and bullet drop-off as well, because there's so many things at range that affect a sniper, and there are certain things you can do with your class setup to affect those and counter those. Certain attachments that I'll show later in the class setup portion that are going to like increase the damage at range, or increase the bullet velocity, or decrease that, or whatever it may be. It's a lot of customization that affects the sniper at close range, but also at further range, and I just want people to be aware of that. But as you slowly work up the game types, the player count, the bigger maps, whatever it may be, you'll start to realize that you're not going to get that instant connection with a sniper rifle. So I can't give you specific tips and specific measurements or whatever it may be to adjust to that bullet travel time, that drop off. You need to figure that out by playing the game a lot more. The one tip I have is to aim higher. The further the shot away, the higher you need to aim above their body. Okay, if they're a sitting duck, if they're stood still, All you need to worry about is the bullet velocity, that drop off it's going to have over time. The further away the shot is, the higher you need to aim. Of course, if someone's running, if someone's moving, you need to take into consideration that travel time once again. So if you're shooting where they were, and by the time the bullet gets there, they're already gone, you need to lead your shot. So if you aim ahead and they're running, you shoot, it's that time it takes for that bullet to hit them, and you've got to figure that out as well. And I thought I'd mention mounting, you know, getting mounted kills on this game. I wouldn't recommend it with a sniper rifle, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like it's viable when using a regular gun. You can hold certain angles and be more aware, but when you use it with a sniper rifle, you're really cutting off a lot of like your peripheral vision. You really can't see too much, especially on the side of a wall is a bit of a struggle. But if you get to a certain barricade or something in front of you and you're mounted on top of that, that's kind of beneficial. And honestly, when you need to get those mounted kills for the gold camo, I would recommend doing those without a regular scope. I would put on an optic, because that way you can hold the angle, you can hold that mounted position without showcasing that massive glare, that reflection that you get when you have a regular scope on. Another thing that we didn't have to worry too much about in previous games that we have to worry about now is the flinch. Oh my lord, the view kick on this game, especially with a sniper rifle in your hand, is incredible. One thing you can do is add in the focus perk to your attachments, to your weapons. So I'll talk about that a little later when I go through the class setups. That is one way to counter the intensity of the flinch outside of using attachments, is to judge the lobby. Every gun engagement, every gunfight is going to be different, and you need to learn to adjust to certain players. There might be a player that's getting 1 or 2 shots on you, they're flinching you up, and you kind of lose control, you don't know where to shoot. Or you might be playing someone who's getting all the shots on you and you can't do anything because you don't know what's going on, because you get flinched and just peppered with bullets. You need to figure out how to counter that. It's more about figuring out the timing of how long it takes from your flinch to be up here to come back down to a steady shot. You could also counter it by aiming lower. Bolt action snipers, you could probably get away with aiming a little bit lower, especially if you're getting flinched up. And honestly, the tips I gave out for countering flinch are probably the same tips I would give for countering like jump shotters or drop shotters. At the end of the day, it's the same idea. If someone's jump shotting a lot in that lobby, you want to start aiming a little bit higher, because once they jump, you shoot them in the torso rather than the legs, you know, and that's the same against drop shotters. If you see a lot of people drop shotting in your game, be prepared for that. Play a little bit slower, play a little bit more cautious, but keep that centered point in your screen a little bit lower than you normally would. So instead of keeping it like torso level, maybe you go like kneecap level, you know? That's the kind of thing you need to adjust to based on the players and the play styles that you're coming up against. So you might be coming up against someone who's holding a head glitch, which is kind of like the sniper's worst nightmare, especially with a flinch in the game. You even try and peek your body out, try and peek your scope out, still not going to be able to help you get that shot off because he flinches you every time. So I understand it's pretty damn tough in this game, and that's something we've got to deal with. But because that flinch is in the game, it's all about outsmarting the opponent. So if you're behind cover and you try to peek to the left or to the right and they're just on that head glitch, pounding you with bullets, you need to hit a jump shot. You've got leaning, you've got crouching, you've got proning. There's certain points and certain little gaps in this game. That's what it's really known for at the moment. So many different ways you can die, but there's also so many ways you can go, and you've got to use that to your advantage. Jump shotting over cover is something I use a lot in this game because people don't expect it. They're always holding the angle, that left or that right of that cover. They don't expect you to do like an aerial shot, so it's definitely something I recommend. Like I said with jump shotting before, it's all about keeping your thumb on the analog stick. So if you haven't changed your settings or pick yourself up a scuff controller, then I would recommend trying that and adjusting your playstyle towards that, because as soon as you take your thumb off the analog stick to jump, you're jeopardizing that aim, that precision. Of course, a lot of the cover might be too high for you to jump shot on, so you've got to relocate, and it's more about the playstyle of other people. You know, they're very committed on this game. Re-challenging on this game, it's so tough with a fast time to kill, with people committing to angles. It is so challenging to re-challenge someone. I'm saying the same word over again, but re-peeking someone is so difficult on this game, especially with a sniper rifle. So I think relocating is the best bit of advice I can give on this game. There's so many different ways you can get to a certain point. There's so many different ways you can get to look at the same place from a different angle. The biggest issue with re-challenging in this game is the slow health regen. There's certain things, there's a perk I think that actually increases the health regen speed if you play OBJ or kill someone. I don't remember specifically, so you could use that. There's a stim shot as well, which is a manual heal. Always be aware that people play differently. Always be aware that there's different enemies on the team. Not everybody's going to pre-aim one angle. Some people are going to be aggressive, and that's why you need to adapt to the certain situation that you're in. You can't get away with running around like a psycho on this game anymore with a sniper rifle in your hands. You just can't. There's too many ways to die. There's too many spots to be seen from. It is tough. You have to think, okay, if I go from this cover to this cover, will I be safe? Will I go from this cover to this cover? You need to use the buildings. You need to use your team, and you need to be aware of what's going on. The moral is you can be aggressive with a sniper rifle, but it depends on the lobby. It depends on the map. You just have to know the map enough, know the little nooks and crannies, know the ways to escape, know the ways to survive, but you can still be aggressive. You can still push people back. You can still push the enemies back and use range to your advantage. You do have a sniper rifle. You do have a one-shot machine. Okay, so make the most of that. You also have marksman rifles with very fast ADS times, which are going to be incredible with those up-close gunfights. So I'll talk about those in a second with the class setup. So there's a lot of things that are work in our favor with sniper rifles, but you still need to be aware that you can't be absolutely insanely aggressive every single time. Just be smart, okay? Smart and aggressive. That's the way to do it. But yes, you know, I'm giving out all these ideas, all these tips to try and help you become a better player. But at the end of the day, practice is the best way to improve on this game. The more you push yourself into situations you're not comfortable with is the better way of improving on this game. Yes, little tips and tricks are going to help. Having the right setup is going to help. But at the end of the day, practicing, playing the game more is going to be the way to improve on this game. So now we've made it to the class setup, the customization part. We're going to talk about the snipers a little bit themselves and what attachments I'd recommend based on your playstyle. So this is the first setup. This is the main one I'd recommend. The AX50 is probably going to be that sniper that most people use, that or the HDR, depending on what you prefer, more damage, more range, whatever it may be. But these setups right here, these class setups are for aggressive sniping only, okay? I'll tell you a couple of things that you can change and tweak to a more slower playstyle for someone who sits back a bit more and stays down your scope. I will mention those things, but these builds right here, these class setups are for those who want to run and gun with a sniper. So as you can tell, muzzle, I have nothing on because a lot of these decrease the ADS speed, which we don't want, all right? 17-inch factory barrel. ADS speed is increased and movement speed is increased, so you're a little bit snappier with it. But obviously the con is bullet velocity is decreased, so you've got to lead your shot a little bit more because it takes longer for the bullet to reach the enemy. That's what you've got to realize. Also, like I said earlier, if you want to play a little bit slower, you can use this 32-inch factory barrel, which increases that bullet velocity, increases the damage at range, and decreases the ADS speed and stuff like that. Also, the tac laser is incredible. You'll realize how terrible the gun is when you first unlock it. As I said in the intro, when you first unlock these guns, they are tough. But once you get it, once you get this build right here, oh my god, this gun is incredible. So tac laser increases the ADS speed, aim stability, and aim walking steadiness. The con is the laser is visible to enemies. So I'll say this right now. When you're pre-aiming an angle, which I'm sure a lot of people will be doing, you'll realize that that laser is visible. So if you see a guy that might be coming around the corner and you pre-aim that corner, that guy's going to see that laser and think, nope, not going around there. So you've got to be aware of that. You can maybe aim to the left or to the right on a nearer wall. Basically, you want to hide that laser, but still have that area where you think that enemy is going to be coming in your scope or in your peripheral vision. Of course, it's not going to be ideal. You're not going to be aiming where you want. You're going to have to do some work. That is way better than showing off your laser and the guy's just going to be like, nope. But as you can tell, I do not use an optic on my AX50. I love the regular scope, but it's fantastic on this gun. But I've still tried some of these. I'd recommend them. You know, the Merc, that was great. Increased ADS speed, so be aware of that. The Cronin as well, increased ADS speed on that. I use that on the HDR as well. So certain things though, this one decreases it. This one decreases it as well. There's certain things that are going to change, so be aware of that. And also the VLK 3.0x optic right here, that is actually going to fall into the lower zoom ADS sensitivity settings that we were changing earlier. So I just want you to be aware of that. As you can tell, the stock Singard Arms Assassin, the ADS speed is increased. The other two don't affect the ADS speed, so we don't want to talk about it. Focus is equipped, which like I said earlier is increased. Flinch resistance, which is fantastic, but I honestly switch this out for sleight of hand sometimes. It depends how I'm feeling, depends on the lobbies and all that good stuff. But honestly, it doesn't even matter because the setup I'm running this with, I actually use the specialist kill streak thing, which means once I get to the specialist bonus, which I'm pretty sure is like 7 or 8 kills, I get all of those perks that I've got on the screen there, but then I get all of these perks for the weapon, all of these equipped and keeping the streak alive. It is so beautiful to have focus, to have recon, to have sleight of hand. That is what I love about that setup. So rear grip, we have it to stippled grip tape, which increases the ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. Now I haven't done too much testing with sprinting to fire on this game, but I haven't seen too much of an issue when running around sprinting. But honestly, I don't like to get caught sprinting anyway because you're probably dead because of the fast time to kill. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Now with ammunition, this is something I change when I'm playing ground war. I sometimes add 7-round mags because I like to have those extra 2 bullets. There's a lot more people to shoot, so of course I'm decreasing the ADS speed, but you don't have to be as snappy in ground war. You're at a little bit more of a distance compared to the 6v6 game type. So if I put this on, I'd probably get rid of perk. Probably one of the only classes I don't run overkill. I just kind of wanted to use it. I probably pick up different guns when I'm playing. I like having a lot more going on, a lot more perks, a lot more things keeping me alive. There's not really any perk in this game that helps with sniping, if I'm honest with you. So just use what you feel comfortable with. Just use what you enjoy. And that goes with the same with the lethals and the tacticals. Then we'll go into the HDR. As you can tell right there, I've only got 3 attachments on, you know, because the majority of these are decreasing the ADS speed, which is not what we want on our sniper rifle, okay? Especially on the barrels. These are fantastic at range. You know, this gun is incredible at long distances. That's not how I use it personally. I like to run and gun with it. Not as much as I do with the other guns because it's still quite a slow ADS speed sniper. You can equip this one right here if you want for the longer range, playing it slower kind of play styles. Tac laser is back. As you can tell, ADS speed increased. We love it. Optics, you're more than welcome to throw one of these on. We've got 2 more slots to equip here. For the stock, we have F-Tac Stalker Scout, which is increased the ADS speed. Aiming stability is decreased, but not too worried about that. All the others don't affect ADS speed, so we're not worried about it. Although that one looks badass. I wish I could use that one. F-Tac Champion. Wow. Perk is sleight of hand. Ammunition I don't have anything on, but if I was playing ground war, maybe I'll throw on 7 or 9, because like I said, so many more people to kill. Faster snappy ADS time isn't as crucial as it would be in 6v6. And then with the underbarrel, you can throw on bipod, I guess. I don't know if it has any negatives. It doesn't look like it, but it increases the crouch and prone recoil control. So that's basically it. You know, 3 attachments to make this the fastest it can go. This is a marksman rifle. We've got the MK2 carbine. Now, this one is stacked up right now with the fastest ADS speed I've got. So obviously it's not going to hit as hard as those sniper rifles we've been using. This is obviously a marksman rifle, but tac laser is back. I'd highly recommend the variable zoom on this gun. It is so good, but you have to be like weapon level 50 to get this. It's such a grind to get there, but there's some great ones along the way. The sniper scope is okay. It's a little weird. I wouldn't recommend it. It's good for the time being until you get the variable zoom. Of course, you can still use these lower zoom ones. They're fantastic, honestly. You can use this gun like an absolute powerhouse. You don't have to use it like a sniper, but that's how I like to use it. The stock, we've got the FFS MK2 Sport Comb. ADS speed increase, that's what we love. We've also got sleight of hand on this because of the fast reload. It's fantastic. Rear grip is the stippled grip tape. ADS speed increased again, and sprint to fire speed increased again. Love it. But as you can tell, we've got overkill on there, ghost, and then amped. Faster weapon swaps, and then rocket launcher reload speed, but I don't use a rocket launcher. But that's a nice little swap class. I have the heavy hitter, the long range sniper there, and then I have the close range, faster sniper. Hit markers more, but you can get some fast shots off. So that's a nice combination. And honestly, you're really not jeopardized for using overkill now. You can literally use the same amount of attachments on the secondary as you can on the primary. Kar98K is another great one. It's also a marksman rifle. This thing is a beauty. I'll get into that setup in a second, but as you can tell, the EBR, it's only level 12. I'm not going to talk about it in this video. I don't see it as a sniper. I mean, it's a great gun. It's a heavy hitter. One shot to the head. Fantastic. But I don't think it's a sniper rifle, so I'm not going to cover it in this video. I apologize if you want to see a setup with it. But anyway, Kar98K, once again, the tac laser is back. I'm using the sniper scope on this thing. It is incredible. I'd highly recommend it. I think I've seen people use the Cronin on this. It's incredible looking. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Like I said, it's all trial and error, but the sniper scope for me is my preference. Absolutely beautiful. I've got the F-Tac Sport Comb, once again, increasing that ADS speed. Sleight of hand as a perk for that faster reload, and then stippled grip tape once again to increase the ADS speed and increase the sprint to fire speed. A lot of these classes are going to be similar. A lot of the perks and attachments that I'm using are going to be similar. For the final one, we've got the Dragunov. This one currently has the 512mm compact barrel, which is great for faster ADS and faster movement. But like I said, the bullet velocity is always going to be decreased when you have that kind of setup. If you want this gun to be better at range, 660mm extended barrel, slower ADS, but a lot heavier hitting at range and a lot faster to get that bullet across to the opponent. All right, tac laser's back once again. F-Tac Stalker Scout is back again. Focus is the perk, and then, like I said, I feel like I'm repeating myself now, but there's some great optics out there. The thermal, that one was great, okay? I enjoyed that one, but I still recommend the regular scope. We love sniper scopes out here, and that is my favorite from the Dragunov. But I think that might do it. Try them out, customize them based on your playstyle. For the field upgrades, Dead Silence when I'm playing 6v6, 10v10, and then Munitions Box when I'm playing Ground War. Get those extra bullets, stay alive, keeping the streak up. I use Tactical Insertion to, you know, keep with the action, to spawn nearer to the objectives or to the enemies or whatever it may be. But if you don't want to use that, I could recommend, I don't know, stopping power rounds. I'm pretty sure that is that certified one-shot kill if you're using a weaker gun. And then with kill streaks, we have the UAV, VTOL jet, and I think advanced UAV. So, I mean, I customize those a little bit. I change these up. I don't think anything really affects sniping too much. I'd recommend advanced UAV. That thing is incredible. But I think that might just do it right there. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully I haven't missed anything, but if you watched the whole thing and you're here right now, I appreciate you. But if I missed something, all right, drop me a comment right now with a question, or drop me a tweet as well, at Spratt on Twitter, and I'll try and do a follow-up video if there's something I need to cover or go into more detail on, or if there's something drastic that I've missed, which I'm hoping I haven't. But if I have, then I'll try and reply to you or something like that. So thank you so much once again for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully something, whether it's small, whether it's big, has been taken away from this video, and when you get on Modern Warfare, you feel a little bit more confident with a sniper rifle in your hands. That's what I'm hoping anyway. That was the aim of the video. So thank you for making it all the way to the end. A lot of work has gone into this, and I'm hoping it has helped. All right, thank you. I'm turning my head a lot here. I don't know what's going on. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.